So we need to be brutally honest here.
Yeah.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel.
About 7 weeks ago, celebrity trainer Bob Harper from The Biggest Loser had a heart attack at age 51. We already made a response video to this, and for those of you who missed it,
Not only did Bob have a heart attack, but he went into cardiac arrest, which means his heart actually stopped beating. He was technically dead until doctors could revive him.
he was then in a coma for 2 days. Apparently, he only had 6% chance of surviving this ordeal.
Luckily, Bob did survive. But is his new diet recommended by his doctors the best option for him?
Before we go any further, let us be very clear. Yes, vegans can have a heart attack, but it all depends on what kind of a vegan diet you're eating.
The science is very clear. A plant-based diet that is low in fat and centered around whole plant foods can prevent, treat, and even reverse heart disease, not to mention most of our other leading causes of death.
Bob, if you're watching this, please know that this is not a hate video towards you. We're not attacking you, and we certainly don't wish another heart attack on you. Quite the opposite, in fact.
Our intention is to provide accurate information to you, Bob, and to other people watching, in the hope of preventing and reversing heart disease.
There's a lot of misinformation being promoted, and because Bob is a celebrity, he has a huge amount of influence over the millions of people following him.
So we need to be brutally honest here.
Yeah.
People need to start thinking very critically. Bob's Instagram says he's a health and fitness expert, followed by #heartattacksurvivor.
A health expert who had a heart attack? Bob is a fitness expert, but he's certainly not a health expert.
And no, neither are we.
No.
However, we do follow and promote the best available balance of science, and that is what we're going to share with you today.
As always, all references will be linked in the description under the video.
So, since Bob's heart attack, he's been advised by his doctors to follow a more Mediterranean diet, which means he's eating a lot of fish. And the Mediterranean diet also includes olive oil.
Things have come to a head on Bob's Instagram because vegans have been trying to warn him that fish is not a health food, and he continues to put his health at risk for another heart attack.
Unfortunately, Bob took this as hate and posted this. To all the vegans out there that follow me and tell me that I'm going to have another heart attack if I continue to eat fish, please refrain from posting those awful comments. They are just plain hateful and mean. I will continue to do what my doctors feel is right for me in my situation, so please just unfollow me instead. In the words of one of my best friends, you do you and I'll do me. #heartattacksurvivor, #no room for haters.
And vegans responded by pointing out that sharing life-saving information is not hateful, awful, mean, or attacking. In fact, it's done out of concern. Bob's post was picked up by the media, who ran with the hyped headline, "Bob Harper calls out vegans who attacked him for eating fish post-heart attack. No room for haters." One article even said he was being diet shamed.
So, that's the backstory. Now to respond. Bob says he's following the advice of his doctors, but the opinions of all doctors don't carry the same weight.
Let's remember, not too long ago, doctors were promoting cigarette smoking. So don't trust everything your doctor says, especially when it comes to nutrition, as most receive little to no nutritional education.
Obviously, Bob's doctors are not just random general practitioners. However,
In matters of life and death, like heart disease, our leading cause of death, we should be taking advice from the world's foremost experts in this field.
Dr. Kim A. Williams is the president of the American College of Cardiology, and he's vegan. William C. Roberts is the head of Baylor's Cardiovascular Institute. He's authored over 1,300 scientific publications, written more than a dozen textbooks on cardiology, and has been the editor-in-chief of the American Journal of Cardiology for over 25 years. And what's his conclusion?
The cause of our number one killer is elevated cholesterol. So, according to probably the most renowned cardiovascular pathologist in the world, that means the cause of our number one killer is not eating vegan.
End of the video, really, but we will keep on going. Now, no doubt, the Mediterranean diet that Bob's doctors recommend he eats is a lot better than a standard Western diet because it includes more plant foods.
But better is not always best. And if you've just had a heart attack and claim to be genetically predisposed to heart disease, then you'd probably want to eat what's best, not just better.
to help people sort through a myriad of different diets being recommended by a myriad of different doctors, we only have to ask one question.
Has the diet been scientifically proven to reverse heart disease?
And the answer to that question is very simple. Only one diet has ever been clinically proven to reverse heart disease, and that is a plant-based diet.
Here's the science.
The disease started to reverse, to get better. As soon as patients stopped eating artery-clogging diets, their bodies were able to start dissolving some of the plaque away, opening up arteries without drugs, without surgery. That improvement in blood flow to the heart muscle itself on the left was after just 3 weeks.
So according to Dr. Esselstyn, one of only 2 doctors who have clinically reversed heart disease, what exactly should someone eat to reverse, treat, and prevent heart disease?
It was really quite striking and exciting to see what actually can happen when you give the body every opportunity it can. The healing capacity is incredible. All right, how do we do this? It's very easy. We avoid the foods that injure the endothelium. What are they? Even pure virgin olive oil, corn oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, coconut oil, palm oil, dairy, anything with a mother or a face, meat, fish, meat, fish, chicken, and turkey, and also caffeine in coffee and fructose. All right, what are you going to eat? All those marvelous whole grains for your cereal, bread, and pasta. 101 different types of legumes. Vegetables, which are red, yellow, and green leafy, and fruit. But especially the green leafy vegetables are like water on the fire. What green leafy vegetables? Bok choy, Swiss chard, kale, collards, collard green, beet greens, mustard greens, snapper cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, cilantro, parsley, spinach, and arugula, and I'm out of breath.
So, no fish, no oil, and no caffeinated coffee. And yet Bob is having all 3 because the Mediterranean diet allows for these.
Why is no fish so important? Because just like all other animal products, fish contains artery-clogging cholesterol and saturated fat.
Sure, fish might contain less cholesterol and saturated fat than beef, but
What are the tolerable upper intake levels for trans fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol? The Institute of Medicine did not set upper limits for trans fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol because any intake level above 0 increased bad cholesterol, LDL cholesterol. Any level of trans fat intake above 0 increased LDL cholesterol concentration, the #1 risk factor for our #1 killer, heart disease. And same with saturated fat. Any intake level above 0, and similar findings for cholesterol. So intakes of meat, eggs, dairy, and junk food should be as low as possible because there is no tolerable intake.
And according to William C. Roberts, again, probably the most renowned cardiovascular pathologist in the world, of the 10 atherosclerotic risk factors, the only factor required to cause atherosclerosis is cholesterol. In other words, even if you have a genetic risk, like Bob claims he does, genetics are only a problem in the presence of high cholesterol.
This is why the only 2 doctors in the world who have clinically reversed heart disease say, genetics load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. And our genes are not our fate.
And Bob actually proved this to himself because many years ago he was eating a plant-based diet in an attempt to lower his cholesterol, and guess what? His cholesterol dropped 100 points.
So forgive us, Bob, but we have to be brutally honest here once again, because what it looks like is that you're claiming to be a health expert and hiding behind genetics,
whilst conveniently ignoring the fact that you did actually lower your cholesterol, the sole risk factor for atherosclerosis, with a plant-based diet.
But then you switched back to an animal products-based paleo diet that's high in cholesterol and saturated fat, and then you had a heart attack.
So the science shows that a plant-based diet that is cholesterol-free and low in saturated fat should be the default diet for anyone.
Yes.
This is the baseline.
Let alone someone like Bob who claims to be genetically predisposed to heart disease. He has even more reason to be
Yes.
on this diet than someone who doesn't have a genetic problem.
And this, Bob, is why vegans are trying to get your attention on social media.
Why is no oil so important for heart disease?
No oil, fish, fowl, meat, or dairy. No oil. No oil. Let's just take a moment here because some people still are not clear about the fact, no oil. Why? Because the data. Olive oil is terribly seductive. Scott Grundy did some studies that are very short term that showed that it increases your good cholesterol, lowers your bad cholesterol, improves your ratio. It got a huge amount of press. Doctors heard about it, and therefore it must be wonderful, right? Wrong. Because you look at longer term studies, Blankenhorn, right in California. 2 groups of patients, one saturated fat, the other monounsaturated like olive oil. The baseline angiogram at the end of the year, the angiogram disease of coronary disease had progressed just as much in each group. Lawrence Riddell in the research triangle took the African green monkey, some similar lipid metabolism to man, saturated, unsaturated, 5 years. In the monounsaturated olive oil group, higher HDL, lower LDL, better ratio, autopsy, just as much coronary disease. The oil companies didn't like that, so Lawrence Riddell repeated the study with rodents, and the result, the same. Dr. Vogel has gone on and shown us indeed that olive oil activates clotting factor 7 just as much as butter.
What about caffeinated coffee? Bob says he's allowed to have 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day, but he doesn't say what type of coffee he's drinking or when he's drinking it.
However, if it's caffeinated and he's drinking it before his exercise, like he was doing before the heart attack, then it's a no-no for Bob because
Caffeine appears to impair blood flow to our heart muscle during exercise, even in healthy folks, but especially those with heart disease.
Now, considering all of this information about what you're not supposed to eat if you want to prevent and certainly reverse heart disease, how was Bob starting his day before the heart attack and encouraging millions of people on national television to do the same?
I get a strong cup of coffee, and then we're going to do like a tablespoon of coconut oil. You're going for clarified butter, like you're going, or ghee. That's what I what I get.
Yeah.
So I get my ghee, tablespoon.
Do you really do this? This is so weird to me.
Every single morning.
oil plus saturated fat and cholesterol from the clarified butter or ghee in his caffeinated coffee every single morning.
Plus all the cholesterol and saturated fat in the animal products he was eating on his mainly paleo diet.
Makes you wonder, was it really genetics or was it diet that caused his heart attack?
We've read comments saying that it's not uncommon for very active people like Bob to have heart attacks because their heart is under so much stress during workouts.
Again, this would only be a consideration in the face of high cholesterol levels.
In 2010, vegan athlete Rich Roll completed the Epic 5 challenge, 5 Ironman distance triathlons on 5 islands of Hawaii in under a week. If your heart's ever going to stop because of intense exercise, that'll probably do it.
And how about vegans Jeanette and Alan Murray, who ran around Australia a marathon a day for 366 days straight, at the young age of 64 and 68.
So these are just a few examples of vegan athletes pushing their bodies and hearts to the extreme, but their diet keeps their cholesterol low and therefore practically heart attack proof.
There will no doubt be a lot of people watching this video who will want to leave a comment saying, "What do we care? It's Bob's body, it's his choice, and his diet is none of our business."
In fact, Bob himself posted on Instagram, "You do you and I'll do me." But Bob, you're not just doing you.
No, here's the thing. Each of our individual diets stop being a personal choice when they involve taking somebody else's life.
As Colleen Patrick Godreau says, your right to throw your fist ends at my nose.
And if Bob's diet still includes animal products, then we and other vegans have the right to speak up about why this is wrong. Take it as a public service announcement.
It's wrong because that fish has been ripped out of the ocean, out of his or her home, and unnecessarily killed. That animal is a helpless, innocent victim in this situation.
It's also wrong because fishing is unsustainable and it's one of the most environmentally destructive practices that is killing our oceans. You can watch the documentary Cowspiracy to learn more about the devastating impact fishing is having on our planet. And considering we all live on one planet, our individual dietary choices are all each other's business.
And finally, as a celebrity who influences millions of people and promotes himself as a health expert, Bob has a responsibility to give accurate information.
He said he was eating healthy on a diet high in cholesterol, animal fat and protein, and he had a heart attack. now is calling fish heart-healthy food, which is inaccurate and dangerous.
And not to mention, seafood is incredibly toxic. Most fish contain high levels of mercury and PCBs, which have been linked to neurological problems. And considering we treat our waterways like public toilets, we shouldn't be eating the filters of those toilets.
So it's very important that people speak up and provide accurate information to counter the misinformation that could potentially save humans' lives and animals' lives and the environment.
Finally, we'd like to address the heart attack survivor hashtag that Bob is using on all his posts.
We understand how traumatic and incredible it must be to survive a heart attack or any other major disease.
And this isn't to downplay disease survivors, not at all. But have you noticed that as a society, we tend to celebrate survivors but ignore prevention?
And it's not just Bob, we see this all the time.
Why don't we use the hashtag heart attack prevention? Why isn't that popular?
Why is heart attack survivor inspiring, but heart attack prevention is preachy, annoying, you do you, I'll do me?
Why don't we celebrate and champion those people who have the courage to go against the mainstream and take action before the disease sets in?
The disease preventers should be our inspiration, our role models, our heroes. We should use hashtags, ribbons, and whatever else to raise awareness about prevention.
But instead, our focus as a society is on wearing the word survivor like a badge of honor, when in most cases, the battle never need happen in the first place.
Again, we're not raising this because we want to belittle survivors of a life-threatening disease, not at all. We just want to raise awareness that our energy and our focus should be directed towards prevention.
Bob was on the Today Show recently and gave some really good advice. He said people should go and see their doctor and get their cholesterol levels checked. The only problem with that is,
In a huge study last year, most heart attack patients fell within the recommended targets for cholesterol, demonstrating that the current diet guidelines are just not low enough to cut heart attack risk. Close to half of heart attack victims had cholesterol levels classified in the guidelines as optimal, though I'm not sure their grieving spouses and orphan children will take much comfort in that fact. What is considered optimal is still way too high. Yeah, having a below average cholesterol, reduces your risk, but as the editor-in-chief of the American Journal of Cardiology wrote more than a decade ago, it's time to shift, right, from just decreasing risk to actually preventing and arresting atherosclerosis. We don't want low risk, we want no risk.
The target is an LDL, the bad cholesterol, under 70, which means a total cholesterol around under 150. How do you do that? How do you get a total cholesterol of 150? Well, you could move to the planet of the apes, or just eat a strictly plant-based diet.
So yes, go and get your levels checked, but if your total cholesterol is above 150, then know that you need to make some dietary and lifestyle changes to get that number down to heart attack proof.
if you've made it to the end of this very long video,
Well done.
thanks for watching.
And Bob, if you're watching this, we really hope that you will consider your Mediterranean diet, take this information to your doctors, discuss it with them, and please stop calling fish heart-healthy food.
We sincerely wish you a speedy recovery.
To our audience, please help us get this message to Bob. We've linked his social media down below in the description box. Share this video with him, and no hateful comments to Bob. We are only here to educate.
Comment, like, share, subscribe.
And don't forget to ding the bell and check the box to receive notifications for our upcoming videos.
And remember until next time that going vegan is not the most we can do.
It's the least we can do. Thanks for watching.
Bye guys. The new centre has been on the wish list of...
I'm wishing for a slaughterhouse next Christmas, Mom. Oh my God.
Of CSU's Agricultural Sciences Department for years. Meat science